What's up, bosses? Welcome to About Her Business, the podcast where we leave all the gossip at the door and get straight down to business. I'm your host, Jonte, and today we have the founder and CEO of the Scone Goddess, Miss Veronica Stubbs. Now, Miss Stubbs has taken her passion for baking and turned it into a nationwide business while adding a few flavors along the way. And she's bringing the icing today on what she means business. So, ladies, grab those cups and those notepads and let's get down to it. The meeting is now in session. Welcome, Miss Stubbs.
Thank you, Jonte. I'm so psyched to talk to you.
Thank you so much for being here. I am super excited because if you know me, you know I love scones. So are you ready to get into it?
Let's do it.
Let's go. So take us back to the beginning. What was happening in your life when the idea for the scone goddess came to life for you?
So it was really exciting, Jonte. We had just moved to the coast of Maine, and Maine is absolutely stunning, but we knew nobody here. And so my husband and I, for a couple of years, we floundered a little bit trying to figure out how to meet friends. And one day he said to me, "You love going to that Saturday farmers market. You should just bake your scones and sell your scones on Saturday, and you'll meet tons of people." And that's exactly what I did. So the idea initially wasn't supposed to be this full blown manufacturing company that it is now. It was supposed to be a way to meet my community, meet my neighbors, maybe share a little stone love and see what people thought of my baking. And it from there it just launched, but it was just a phenomenal way to get to know the community. So I absolutely did set out to meet the community and that worked. So that was the start of everything.
A lot of people don't even think of it that way. They think of it as I eventually meet people along the way, but you actually really jumped out there and started building those relationships. So definitely a big ups to you on that one.
It's fun and I'm a people person, so it was pretty hard to sit here every day and not be doing something.
Absolutely. Now, speaking of relationships, your business, as you just said, is literally rooted in relationships. How did that philosophy originally shape your earliest decisions as a founder?
So it was really exciting for me. As I told you, I started this business at a farmer's market, but it was prior to the pandemic. So what had happened is all of those people that I met at that farmer's market, we would see them every week. And every week we'd talk about new scone flavors and what was going on at the market and what was going on in their lives. And we really became friends. And when the pandemic struck, we all got sent home and suddenly I had no business and no one had a way of getting my fresh baked scones. So I pivoted, and all of these people that had reached out to me, how am I going to get my scones or how are you doing, started to buy these mixes. And our relationship was strong enough that they supported my small business, which at that point was still just a hobby. And they are the reason that our scones are nationwide. They would buy my scone mixes and bake them, share with friends, share with family, try to make that time in all of our lives so much easier. The time where we were all stuck at home or stuck outside our own neighborhoods. And there was just that whole movement of sharing, and we like to say baking memories. On my end, I always treasured that relationship. And to this day, if you were to reach out to me on social media or my website or email, you're getting me personally, not one of my team members, because I know that those people and then the customers that followed are the reason why we're successful. And I just feel that always stay approachable, always be thankful for the community that built you, and always be completely honest and a friend, the friend that they were to me. So that's how I run my business today: honesty and quality and community.
Y'all, she's about to make me move to Maine because I just want to be a part of this community. You hit on the pandemic. You saw a lot of businesses start, but you also saw a lot of businesses lose that income of income that they had as well. So let's talk about that. What did you do early on that helped you maintain and build something sustainable after the pandemic?
So the pandemic shed a huge light on the fact that you have to know how to pivot. And I have become maybe the goddess of scones, but the queen of pivot. So always keeping in mind those three things of integrity, quality, community, and broadening that as I go. We are very deeply ensconced in our community, whether it's our online community or our local community. We partner with other businesses near us, and we've collaborated to make different scone mix flavors, both to support our brands and our small businesses, but also we've tied in communities. So we created a scone mix, for example, lavender lemon cream, and I partnered with a local lavender farm and also with a mill in the state of Maine that does amazing, their heritage grains, just amazing grains. And we created this scone mix where all the proceeds went to the local food shelf, the local soup kitchen. And then I created another mix using those same grains again. And all of those proceeds went to support the lobstermen who were really struggling at the time. Just letting people know that I actually talk the talk and I walk the walk. If I say that I'm part of my community and that I'm going to support my community, I do it. And I try really hard to bring in as many people as possible to help see that vision through. As I say in Maine, all ships rise. So it's really important to me to make sure that not only my company is doing well and giving back, but that I'm able to help my peers and mentor them and support them whenever possible.
Absolutely. You see a lot of people just investing in themselves and not giving back to their local communities and even thinking about our service people, our police and our firefighters. And I hit back on what you just talked about in the last question of people contacting you and they still getting you, the CEO. You also don't have that connection with a lot of businesses either, especially when they have a team. So thank you for just staying true to who you originally are and not switching up on people because that's normally what happens when people hire teams. They switch up on people, y'all. They just do for some reason. Now, we've been talking about community and it's been, again, a huge part of your story. How did you intentionally build and nurture that community instead of just relying on customers to show up?
I just said, I walk the walk. When I meet someone, I make a point of knowing their name, their order if I'm in my bakery. If someone sends me a note online, I respond. I reach out. We try to make it really fun. We try to have the company as a whole experience rather than just a product. A couple of years ago, we had a scone festival, something I'm hoping to do again. That kind of financial climate has been prohibitive for that, I think, recently, but we hope to bring that back. But it was really great. We brought in some small celebrities and we had free scones for the day and our mixes were there. We had free live music. And it was just a way for people to come in and meet the maker. We had a huge vendor market where all of my local peers could sell their wares as well. It was all part of the festival. And it was just super fun because again, it was a way to bring community together and to say, hey, you know what? I'm listening. We understand small business is important. We understand that you enjoy this and you want to be a part of this and you want to have something fun to do that's not going to cost you an arm and a leg. And we try really hard to just think of fun things to support in addition to our nonprofit goals and things like that. And then the other part of it is for those people that can't be here locally, we try to make all of our social media and our ads really fun. We have an incredible staff. They are all so amazing and so overqualified. I'm so lucky to have them because really at the end of the day, we're bagging flour. So anyway, we have a good time. And so sometimes we take a break in production and we do some social media work. And a couple of weeks ago, we made a video whereby one of my staff members, who's actually my production leader, she's very tiny, we had her jumping out of one of our flour bins, showing the mix that we were making that day, and all to the tune of Oompa Loompa. And it just fun stuff like that. I don't want anyone to look at my page and have my ads and my social media say, buy this mix. I don't want that. I want them to see something fun and engaging and something that makes them say, oh, that silly goddess. She's so fun. So we just try to keep it fun.
And y'all, I hope you was taking notes because she just gave you a marketing tip right there. And there's been a lot of talk on social media about not using that word sell and buy. And she just gave y'all a great marketing tip. And I've seen that happen. And a lot of people don't think that the CEO can have fun with the employees because somebody's got to keep everybody in line. But I'm here to tell you those types of work environments is what keeps people there. It's what helps your business grow. It's what literally make people feel like they serving a purpose while helping you still fulfill your dreams and your purpose. Now, a lot of people originally start businesses as well because of their own personal hobbies or passions. So let's talk about that for a quick second. At what point did you realize that this wasn't just a hobby, but a real business with a long-term potential?
It's funny, Jante, I swear I'm still having these micro realizations about that. So initially, the company started in 2019, absolutely a hobby, absolutely not a business. It was meant to meet people. And in 2020, as we were navigating through the pandemic and realizing, oh my gosh, I'm handbagging and hand mixing all this mix and hand shipping it all out and doing it pretty much by myself. My girls were home because they couldn't go to school and they would help. But in about October, so about a year after I had started it, I said to my husband, business or hobby? He's business. Come on. And so you think you make that decision once, business or hobby, but that is a lie. You make that decision 6 or 7 times as an entrepreneur, as a small business owner. And so we made the decision. We became an LLC. We made sure that we locked down our logo by getting it a registered trademark. And we bought some equipment and we started to rock and roll. And coming out of the pandemic, I just assumed that people would really want baked scones again, not scone mix. And so at that point, I hadn't even invested in my packaging. My packaging was still a bronze metal bag with a sticker on it. And instead, I built a bakery and it was fabulous. All these people that had been locked in their homes for a year started to come back to visit Maine. And we were one of the first places that they visited. And it was just amazing to meet all these people that we had met online before. And so what I didn't realize is they still wanted the mix. So at that point, the mix was still being made in my converted garage. It had started in my kitchen and it had gotten to my garage, and that's where we're doing it. We had 1 or 2 machines that were really small. I'm talking food grade cement mixers. Okay. That's how we were mixing the scone mix. And anyway, we realized, holy crow, people actually want the mixes still, not just the bakery. So I said to my husband, business or hobby? And he goes, you got to make the mix. So we put an addition on the building and we were in there for about 3 months and we continued to grow because at that point it was tourist season here. That changes the population dramatically in Maine. And we're right on the coast. So people were finding us left and right, lines out the door. You could not get in. And I said to my husband, man, business or hobby, we need another edition. And we're like, business. So that was 3 times. And then just last year, we outgrew our facility. And so we have the bakery on the one side, and on the other side, we had production, the raw goods storage, and the shipping area. But here we are in this little teeny weeny tiny town, and the parking was never installed based on production, manufacturing. It was for a cute little bakery. And so I looked at my husband, he goes, you know what I'm going to say. So we just quadrupled our production space. And I'm telling you, I'm still feeling the pain of that. You make these decisions and you just have to remember that movie. I think it's Bill Durham or something, or I don't even know. If you build it, they will come, right? Anyway, we're now in this large production space, one town over, which is fabulous. We have room to grow. We have room to get machines that will be so competitive. We could bag 60 mixes a minute if we wanted to. Yeah. And anyway, and my son has joined the company and he helps me run that side of it. And he 2 years ago rebranded all the bags and everything to what today. And he just, we've taken it to the next level and now we're really competing. And so nobody asked the question finally anymore because we know we're in it to win it. But it did take 4 times, business or hobby, before we got there.
And I first of all want to say congratulations
Thank you.
on building and outgrowing your facility because you don't see that often. But that goes back to originally why you started this business. You built it with love. And you hit on when you're doing it for the right reasons, your people will come. And that's why, because you was literally thinking about community and just being of service to others. So Y'all know I love scones, so I'm trying to be up there this summer, a tourist, and in that line, give me a scone, y'all. So if y'all just so happen to be in Maine, definitely stop by the Scone Goddess. Now, you also just talked about how your branding came about. So let's get a little bit deeper into that. How did you land on the name and positioning of the Scone Goddess, and how has that helped you stand out in a crowded market?
It's such a wonderful story. I feel like everything that I've done up to this point has led to this. And I'll tell you the funniest thing. I was a cosmetologist and a professional makeup artist and a radio DJ, and I was in sales. And sometimes you think back and you're like, what do you mean that led up to you becoming the scone goddess? But I can tell you everything you do in life, believe it or not, leads up to that thing you're supposed to do. And in one of my positions, I was a buyer and I was sitting in a buyer's meeting. And of course, me being who I am, I brought some fresh baked scones. And before the meeting started, the president of the company took a bite and it was the raspberry white chocolate ones. And he says, oh my gosh, you are a scone goddess. And yeah, and I said, oh, thank you. That's so sweet. Fast forward, it took 6 years until I became the Scone Goddess. And when I went to the farmer's market, the owner of the farmer's market, and just so we can set the stage, the farmer's market is this phenomenal indoor year round farmer's market. There's 100 vendors. It's fabulous. It's on the ocean right there in Belfast. It's wonderful. It's a United Farmers Market of Maine, if anyone's ever visiting. But anyway, the owner said to me, you need a name for your company and you have to put up a banner so people know who you are. And I said, oh, okay, I'm the Scone Goddess. And he, okay, whatever. Here's a baker coming into the market. I don't think he really knew at the time. He tasted my scones and he did think they were good. Then I show up and I've got my banner. And at that point, I had the Scone Goddess name in gold and I didn't have the goddess image yet. And he looks at the goddess and he says, I don't know about that name. Then I said to my daughters, you know what, girls, we need to have a goddess. We need to have a picture of a goddess. And they're both incredibly artistic. And they said, well, what do you want it to look like, mom? And so I said, I don't know. I know exactly what I want it to look like, but I can't describe it. And so I went on online like we do, and I Google goddess to see if an image that would come up that would resonate with me. And this image came up that's currently on my bag. And I said, oh my gosh, that's it. And they said, we're not going to copy someone's art, mom. And I said, I'm going to call the artist. So the artist is Kathy Poitras. She's out of Canada. And I called her up and I said, Kathy, I love this goddess. I need to have it. I need to put it on my banner. I'm just at a farmer's market. I want to have this as my logo. And she says, okay. And so she sold me a digital download and I was happy as a clam. And then, of course, a year went by and we realized, oh my goodness, this is what we need. And I now have the original painting and all the rights to it. But that's how we found the logo. And it sets us apart because she's gorgeous and she's huge. She's on the side of the road in all of her glory on this huge sign. She had been on a little food truck before. She's on the side of my van. She's on all of my bags. And people see her and they recognize her, and she's becoming this wonderful, iconic symbol. And to the point where if someone does see her, they jam on the brakes and they turn around because they want a picture next to her image. And then they see, oh my gosh, the Scone Goddess. And they come in and they say, you know, those are some pretty big shoes to fill, goddess. Are you as good as your name? And so I always would get that the first year, and they would try the scones and they'd say, you know what? You are the Scone Goddess. I think just the name is so cheeky for me to be confident enough to say, hey, I'm the Scone Goddess. And that beautiful logo, and it sets us apart from everyone. It looks different from any other mix, and it's beautiful, and you can gift it as it is. No gift bag needed.
Absolutely. And if you guys are wanting to look at a visual of it, Miss Stubbs actually has the raspberry and cream packaging behind her. So that's how it looks, you guys, when it's coming to you. And it is absolutely beautiful, as you said. And again, Shout out to Miss Kathy because, and I appreciate you for actually giving her credit because that is a part of how we as entrepreneurs grow. We have to collaborate with others, whether that's with artists, content creators, photographers. It does not matter. We have to find different methods and forms of collaborations. So I know a lot of people are asking me, John Tay, when are we going to get to the systems and the structures? Because she's outgrown her facility and she's shipping nationwide. So let's get into that for a second. What systems or structures did you have to put in place to move from baking and selling to running a company?
I'll tell you, you're opening up a can of worms right now, Jante, because whew, it's a lot for any of you considering going into food. Just know there is a lot of stuff to learn. The first thing that we had to do was super simple. We went through and we got inspected by the Department of Ag here in Maine. And that's when you think about going into a food business, you think that's what you need to do. And of course, typically people in food are very good with hygiene, things like that. So I didn't think it would be very difficult to move from just having a cottage bakery in my house to shipping nationwide. So initially, I just had a free website. I was doing all the shipping myself out of my house. It was very simple. And honestly, I just went with it. And it wasn't until maybe 3 or 4 years ago that I started to realize, oh my gosh, I cannot just wing this anymore. This is bigger than I am. And they always say, hire people smarter than you are. And so I did. I have a really great attorney and a really great accountant, and I've got a really great human resources team. And I'm really exceptionally lucky because all of my children work with me and they are brilliant and have a lot to bring to the table. One of the things that has happened is my son, who is a game designer by trade, he has created an application specific to my business that integrates everything in regards to food traceability. So if any of you have ever heard about recalls, that's really it's a big deal. You need to know where every single ingredient comes from, who's getting the finished product, and just where everything is at all times and what is in it. We've got that application that controls all of that. It controls all of our inventory, our packaging, all of the certificate of analysis reports that come with the ingredients, any incident reports that may happen at the facility. And basically, the idea is at any given time, you want to make sure that if the FDA or the IRS or the health inspector come in, you've got all your ducks in a row. So for me, I needed someone to organize all of that. I always had it in paper, old style. I had it in my filing cabinet. Let me sort through this for the next 3 weeks to find it, right? But my son came in and he just made it all come together in this digital format. So there was that. There was also the process of how do you bring on employees? How do you train them? And then just the whole functionality of the factory, which I have to laugh whenever I say factory, right? It's the scone factory. So it was a lot of basically aggregating of paperwork and information and everything that all had to be assimilated into one unit. And I learned as I went along. So that was really difficult. One thing I can say, I got to give a shout out to Maine. Maine has amazing entrepreneurial programs. And I am sure that we are not the only state that has it. Certainly, by and large, the only state that has such phenomenal support. I have never ever experienced this anywhere else. But I went through a program here called Top Gun. And Top Gun goes through all of the challenges of starting a small business, regardless of what the business is. It wasn't specific to food. And they partner you with a mentor and they provide you with resources to figure out how is this going to best work for you. And so basically, going through that program and just continuing to learn along the way, once I figured out there was something that I didn't know, then that's what I did. I had little chunks of things that worked, but maybe they were not updated enough, i.e., on paper. I had lots of brain power that I had to figure out where to put that so that other people could duplicate my efforts. And then when we started to get big, I had to really figure out how to streamline everything, and in comes the big brain, my son. So hire people smarter than yourself.
I love that. And Miss Stubbs, she has her system set up in a way that a lot of entrepreneurs don't think about because when we're originally getting out, you think hire a content creator, hire a social media manager, hire an assistant. She said, I got a good lawyer, a good accountant, and a great HR team. And I went, that's it right there. That's how you become nationwide, y'all. Got to have them three people. And we say that they're smarter than us. That's why they're there, y'all, to help us along the way. And you don't have to know everything. We can delegate stuff out. And that keeps us from burning out and actually helps us get the business out there and spend time in places like getting to know our customers a little bit better. So I absolutely love how you put the lawyer and the accountant and the HR team in, as well as using the skills of your children as well, taking their strengths and incorporating it in the business because a lot of times we use our family members to help us get off the ground and we invest in them as well. So that is huge that you were able to literally create a very structured system because y'all, I was not expecting her to say, I got a good lawyer, a good accountant, a great HR team. I was not expecting her to say that. Now, speaking of accountants, let's talk about revenue right now. What has been your most effective revenue stream so far, and how did you figure out where to focus your energy?
So the scone mixes are the most effective revenue stream. It's really interesting. I told you this already that I really thought that people were buying the mixes because they couldn't get the fresh baked scones. And I'll tell you, our bakery is not a sit down bakery. We know we're just selling scones and we also roast our own coffee. So we're just selling scones and coffee. So you have to sell a lot of scones in order to pay your employees. So our method has always been come in and grab your scones. And you better grab everything you want in the first pass because there's a whole line behind you and they're going to be sold out. So people come in and they buy them by the box full. And we don't have people buying one scone and one cup of coffee to go. That's just not the kind of shop we are. But that being said, when I was small, that worked out very well. The bakery does very well. But the reality is, all those people are tourists. So they go away in the winter. And the good news is they then get on my website and they order our mixes because they're exactly the same as what's in the bakery. And we realized that our bakery is a way to get sampling done. So it's paid sampling and it supports the mixes. And so the mixes are so easy to ship and so easy to make that we have focused everything on keeping that really super simple, keeping the quality incredibly high, and coming up with new flavors to keep it interesting. And given that is such a successful part of the business, and it was initially driven towards the person that really doesn't bake so much. Our method is just add heavy cream. That's it. You just add that heavy cream. It forms a ball. You smush it down, cut it, separate it, bake it. It takes 20 minutes, and they're amazing. So anyway, we were really positioned towards the kind of new baker or the baker who was less confident. And now we've got all these flavors, we've got all these people interested in scones. I think there's probably more interest in scones in the past 10 years than there has ever been. And so I also publish the recipes that I use in my bakery utilizing my scone mix. Those are right on my website. So that helps to drive that further. But basically, it was after the first 2 years of the bakery being open when I saw the flip. So the first year, clearly the bakery did very well. We had tourists coming for the first year. They were buying scones, they were buying mixes, they were going home, and then they would reorder, but that still wasn't as exciting as the bakery. The second year, the same tourists came back, making sure they got their scone mixes and telling me I better get my scone mixes so I don't forget. And then getting their scones, going home, reordering. And so it was really that second year where I saw, oh, the bakery is doing awesome, but all of the scone mix sales have rippled year over year. And so that means that everybody that's ordered before is reordering and they're telling other people. So it was the aha moment after about 2 years that I realized that we got to put all of the effort into the scone mix. So that is what we've done.
Oh, wow. And again, let's mention reputation too, because it speaks of your reputation and people wanting to get these scones because you don't see that once again a lot as well. People traveling every single year to make sure they get their packaging and then making sure that they consistently order throughout the year, even if they're not coming to visit, and telling other people that may haven't tried it yet, hey, you need to try this. So that's huge. And again, as a scone lover, it makes me happy and it gives me joy to know that I only need one ingredient to make this beautiful creation.
Yeah, I know, it's so simple. It's almost too easy though, let me tell you. When you get up and you're like, "Oh, I've got half an hour before I go to work. Let me just whip up some scones and let me just eat them in the car on the way." It's too easy, but it's so delicious.
Absolutely. And let's talk about relationships again, because we've talked a little bit about how you got your business out there. But again, it seems to be what gave you that competitive edge over other bakers and other scone makers out there. How has these collaborations and partnerships or custom loyalty even played into your business strategy?
So it's again, it's about supporting one another. I'm such a huge advocate of small business owners and helping everyone around me. And I'll give someone some advice about something for their business. And in turn, they'll do something for me. And there's a lot of sharing of information online so that people see us. There's a lot of recommendations, especially given that we're in a tourist area. I'm always saying, "Oh, you've got to go to Laugh Loud, Smile Big in Camden. They've got the best cupcakes." And she's always saying, "Did you stop at the Scone Goddess on the way to Bar Harbor? Because you've never had a scone until you've had hers." And so those professional relationships have certainly helped, and it's been amazing. And then the personal part of it, I got to tell you, I'll tell you a story that's it's so heartwarming and humbling and also sad. We had a customer, his name is Alden, and he was a summer neighbor, and he would come in and he every day he would joke with us, "Hey, where's the ice cream? You got to get an ice cream truck." And we'd always laugh and we'd say, "Oh, no ice cream truck this year." And anyway, he brought his family in. And when he came in, we said, "Oh, Alden, you brought your family." And he stopped dead in the door and he goes, "You know my name?" And I said, "Of course we know your name." And he was so flabbergasted by that that he told everyone about that. And so we met his whole family that day. And then I am telling you, every day for the rest of the summer, we met someone that Alden sent in. They would come in and say, "Alden sent me in." And it was just so sweet and so humbling too, because you're this tiny little cog in a wheel and you hope you're making a difference in someone's life. And when someone cares enough to mention you to their friends and family, you know you have. So the sad part of the story is Alden and one of his neighbors were doing some work outside and they had cut down a tree and the tree had fallen the wrong way. And unfortunately, he got stuck in the middle of it and he passed. And the bittersweet thing is, his family came to my shop to tell me that this happened. And we were able to go to his memorial service. But you know what? To have meant enough to someone that their family felt compelled to come to our shop and make sure we knew. So the whole situation was so sad. But my daughter and I, who she's the baker in my shop now, we just looked at each other and we said, "My God, we made a difference to him." And it's just so wonderful that we could do that. And that's the whole point. I would love to think that people are not in business just to make the almighty dollar. I would hope that they're in business to make the connection and to share the love via scones or cupcakes or coffee or whatever it is, just to make that human connection and to make a difference in someone's day. And at the end of the day, if you actually were successful and you made some money too, I think it's a great place to be.
Absolutely. And thank you for sharing that story with our audience because once again, it goes back to your character as the CEO because you don't see that a lot. Walking into these big places and the CEO knowing you by name, and you've created an environment the way you make sure you get to know all your customers. And my condolences on your loss and to the family as well because that's what it's about, y'all. It's not about, I know some people want to be millionaires and things like that, but it's really about being of service to your community, helping your community in a way you can, building those relationships that keeps going even when you're not here. So thank you
Right.
for sharing. with our audience because that's a moment that a lot of people don't think about, Miss Stubbs. Now, since we're getting some advice for you because you've been dropping some gems today, I want to ask you for the women that may be building a brand right now, especially a product based business, what do you think they often overlook when it comes to building something well rounded?
First of all, I think women are fierce. And if I were to ever partner with anyone in business, I would partner with another woman because we get stuff done. But that being said, recently I've been reading a lot. I've been reading a lot of social media, I've been reading a lot of blogs, and I'm always hearing, oh, how do I price my product? Or do you think anyone's going to buy my product? Or how come no one's buying my product? And I think what's happening is they've concentrated so much on making the product and they've got the passion for it, but they don't believe in themselves. And when you believe in yourself, when you have confidence, it, first of all, it's contagious. People want to be a part of it. And second of all, your pricing will reflect it. Ladies, if you are selling your baked goods or your art or your whatever without pricing it properly, girl, just double your price. Don't even think about it. Just double your price. If you think that your price might not be right, it's probably too low. Double it. The number one thing is that lack of faith in their own product. And so the other part of it is you've stayed up hours on end making this product. You've worked every day of the week. People are not going to come to you. They don't know who you are. They don't know you exist. Go get it. Go get it. I know it's hard. You've just worked a 16-hour day and now you got to go out there and find your customer, but you got to do it. And it's as easy as this. Go to the grocery store and that person that can't reach something on the shelf, hand it to them and start a conversation with the neighbor. All we have to do is be neighbors. And inevitably, the conversation always turns, oh, thank you so much. You're so kind. What do you do for a living? You must be in hospitality or something. No, I'm not. I'm actually an author. I just wrote this book. It's called this. No, I'm not. I'm a baker. I make these amazing croissants, whatever. Here's my card. It's all about networking every single part of your day, whether you are on the phone with a customer in the grocery store, at a soccer game. And I'm not talking about, hey, did you know I have a business? I'm just talking about, how are you? I'm V. It's nice to meet you, Jonte. What do you do? Oh, tell me more about it. Have a conversation. People forget that you can have a conversation and make friends. We forget that with technology these days. And I think it's the number one thing missing from any relationship, any business. It's the conversation and the belief system that you're worth it. You worked hard. And guess what? People do want to know about you, but you got to talk about it. You got to make friends.
Absolutely. And y'all, she once again, I hope you was writing it down. Those were some great tips. And I even give you an example. Go stand in a long line at any store too.
Exactly.
So we've talked about several things, and let's talk about leadership because you are a leader that literally leads by example. What does a well-rounded company look like to you in practice beyond just the revenue?
Jonte, again, it is talking the talk and walking the walk. And you go in and you want to provide balance for your employees. You want to provide quality for the product that you're selling. You want to be honest. You want to be part of your community. And if you can manage to do all those things, you're going to be pretty well rounded as a company. That's what we do. We have a fabulous work life balance, and we try to bring in people that are incredibly overqualified and then fit them into roles that they enjoy, which really balances out our company. We've got artists working for us, and my son is a game designer. He does not need to be baking, making scone mix. And we have a chef working with us, and it just, there's amazing talent. And so, as a company, our staff is well rounded. We all offer something to each other so that we're constantly learning from each other as we face our community. We are offering our knowledge, our experience, our love, our kindness to our community. And of course, we're making a really great product.
Amen. Round of applause. Standing ovation. That's literally it. When you bring in a team, find their strengths, encourage them in those strengths, and I'm telling you, that's how businesses, your Starbucks and your McDonald's and people like that have become global brands. You got to invest in strengths of others. And I'm just so happy and so proud of you, Miss Stubbs, and what you've been able to create, because that is so huge. And she's been able to get, once again, I'm going to keep saying it because I did not expect her to say this, y'all, that good lawyer, that good HR department, and that great accountant. So that's how you do it. You have to find people's strengths and actually feed into those strengths. And as well as your son being a game designer, both of your daughters being artists, that is huge that you were able to bring in everybody's strengths and talents and put it into your business, which is literally made with love, y'all. You can literally just tell Miss Stubbs made this entire company based off of love and bringing community together. And I have truly enjoyed having you today. And we got to the end of our episode, but we always leave with a legacy. And I give you a couple of moments to think about this. When you think about the legacy of the Scone Goddess, what do you want people to say about the impact you made on your community and the businesses that came after you?
Dante, I truly love that question. I just want people to think about the Scone Goddess with joy, just joy. And we have offered an experience in our bakery, an experience whenever you communicate with us online, on the phone. We offer a wonderful product that hopefully brought you joy. Hopefully, you were able to make some memories with our product. And it was exciting too. I'm hoping that everyone thinks, wow, I watched them grow from this little farmer's market to a nationwide brand. And I just hope that it's always joy and positivity that everyone reflects on. And I wouldn't say I'm the most refined, phenomenal business person. I think I'm a really well-rounded person who gets it. And I just hope that as people think about the Scone Goddess, hopefully while they're eating a scone, they say, my gosh, what a really cool company. I really love this company. I just love them.
And you guys, it's time for me to go and book my trip to Maine because I got to get up there and try those scones. Now, sadly, we have come to the end of today's episode, but y'all know I'm going to make sure I get all of Miss Stubbs' information. Please let us know where you're located and let us know how we can order your scones. Let us know how we can follow you on all your socials. Let us know all the details.
So, Shantae, you can find us online at thesconegoddess.com. And all of our social media ends in the Scone Goddess. And then, if you're ever lucky enough to come to Maine, we would be happy to serve you some fresh scones and coffee. And we are located at 1390 Atlantic Highway in Northport, Maine.
I love that. And I'm going to be leaving all that down in the description box below. And I'm going to see if YouTube and all the other social media handles let me actually do the maps pin, because that right there needs to be pinned, y'all. So y'all know exactly how to find Miss Stubbs. Any last words before we end today's meeting?
No, it was just such a pleasure talking to you. And you're inspiring. And what a great listener, too. I hope that your fans realize you're very wonderful to speak with.
Absolutely. And ladies, with that, today's meeting is now adjourned. Thanks again to the CEO and the founder of the Scone Goddess, Miss Veronica Stubbs herself, for coming on and offering all her insights. And you be sure to subscribe to About Her Business wherever you receive your podcast so you never miss whenever we upload. Also, leave me some comments down in that comment section on which industry you think I should interview next. Until next time, keep your goals tight, that circle tighter, and that bank account growing.